Let's take a little time to cool down and stretch out our muscles. So grab your yoga mat and bring it to as close to a wall as you can get it. We're going to use just a little bit of wall space for one of the stretches. And then grab a blanket or a cushion, something to just give the knees a little bit of padding. And then come down to the hands on the knees, tabletop position, knees hip distance apart, hands under shoulders. And start to move through cat-cow. So breathe in as you lift your head, as you gently arch your back, stretching out the abdominals. And then breathe out as you round through your back, tucking chin to chest, stretching out the back body. Take a few more cycles of breath with this. Now when it comes to cooling down after exercise, you always want to make sure that you've taken a bit of time to cool down, to let your heart rate come down before you go into these deep stretches. So if you've been running, it's a good idea to just continue walking a little bit after your run. If you've been on the bike, maybe just doing a really gentle cycle towards the end to help your heart rate come down first. So hopefully you are in that state already where you've cooled off a little bit. Bring the knees and the feet close together and tuck your toes under. We're going to stretch out the feet. So walk the hands back. We should be sitting back towards the heels, toes tucked under as tightly as you can. If it's really, really intense, come up a little higher on the knees so that it's a bit less strong through the feet. But if you can sit all the way back, then sit all the way back. And then take your hands behind your back. Try and interlace the fingers with the palms facing in. Pull the shoulders back and together. And we're here for 3 slow, deep breaths. Stretching out shoulders, the feet, the toes. You might feel it around the ankles too. Last breath. Good, then release the hands. Come back onto the hands and give the toes just a little wiggle. Roll the ankles. And then walk the hands a little further forwards and take your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Excuse me, outside of your right hand. Coming into the lizard lunge. So right foot to the outside of the right hand. And just pause here and breathe. If you're not feeling much of a stretch, if you are quite flexible around the hips and hamstrings, then you could take your back foot and shuffle your back knee a little bit further back on your mat to drop your hips lower into this. Try and relax your jaw, breathe deeply. Good, and then walk your foot in between your hands. Walk fingertips back on the mat and pull the hips back. Lift up the toes on this right foot. You want to feel this through the back of the leg, maybe into the calf, maybe up in the hamstring. Really pull the toes back towards you as much as you can. Pause there for a moment, take a deep breath. And then staying in this position, point your toes forwards and see if you can feel a stretch into the top of the shin. If you get shin splints, that kind of shin pain from running, this is a great stretch to do. Really point the toes and try and feel that stretch along there. One more breath. And then lift the toes up and really flex that foot again. Good, and then coming back through to the front of the mat, let that foot shuffle back out and bring the left foot up to the outside of the left hand. So same thing, that lizard lunge stretch first. Again, we're sort of sinking the hips down towards the ground. 2 more slow breaths. And then walk the foot into the middle of the hands. Pull the hips back, lengthen out the left leg. And if you're kind of running out of space here, you can shuffle that foot a bit further forwards to help you into this one. So start with the foot flex, the toes drawing in towards you. So you're targeting calf and the hamstring, the back of the leg with this. Breathing in, breathing out. And then taking the stretch into the top of the shin, point the toes forwards. And you can kind of, as you point the toes forwards, you'll probably roll a little bit more onto the front of the heel. So if you watch what my heel is doing here, when the toes come back, I kind of pull back onto the back of the heel. And now with the toes forwards, I'm rolling onto the front of the heel. And then I can really feel that along the top of the shin. If you don't really feel the stretch there, you can give it a little bit of a hand by just pressing down really lightly onto the toes and you should then start to feel it. And then draw the toes back, come back to that flexed foot position, really draw the toes in. Again, if you're not feeling it, and I imagine you probably are, but if for some reason you're not feeling it, you could use your hands to gently encourage a bit of a deeper stretch. Good, and then coming forwards, let that knee come out behind you. Okay, now we're using the wall. So if you're not already at the wall, bring yourself really close to it and put your blanket or your cushion against the wall like this. It's going to pad your knee. Then on the hands and the knees, walk yourself right up to the wall so it's behind you. We'll start with the right knee. We're going to lift this foot, place the foot against the wall and drop the knee down as close to the wall as you can get it. So hopefully you can see the knee is right up against the wall and the foot is up on the wall. And then walk the hands in, lean into your hands and step your left foot to the outside of your left hand again. Now, if you're really feeling this already, you're going to be feeling it through the thigh, down into the knee, maybe into this hip flexor as well. If you're already really feeling it, you don't need to lift up any further. If you're not feeling it yet, shuffle your foot in towards the center of the mat or to the point where it feels like you can balance, and then see if you can lift up. It might not be all the way up, that might be too intense. You could lean forwards onto this thigh. If it's a little unsteady, maybe you shuffle the foot out a little wider until you feel you've got your balance. But if you can, try to lift up tall. We want to feel this stretch all down the front of this right thigh and into the hip flexor. And we're staying for 3 deep breaths here. I can really feel it. I don't know about you. This one always feels tough to me. Final breath. Good, and then let the hands come down to the mat. And we're coming out of it the same way we came in, so we'll shuffle the foot to the outer edge of the mat, this left foot, lean into the hands, and then come down onto your left knee. So drop the left knee first, and then you should be able to walk yourself back out from there. Well done. Going to the other leg. So we're taking the left knee now and placing it right up against the wall. So left foot is up on the wall now and left knee is up against it. Walk the hands in and then step your right foot up to the outside of the right hand. And then see how you go on this second side. Shuffle your foot into a place where you can steady yourself and find your balance. And then try lifting up, coming into the stretch again. Deep breaths. I'm talking to myself because I can feel, because it feels tight, I can feel my breath shortening. Naturally, I want to hold my breath and grit my teeth, but I know that it's much better to deepen the breath, to relax the jaw, and to let those muscles stretch. So let's take one final breath together. Well done. Bring the hands down. Shuffle that right foot out wide, and then let the right knee come to the mat. Bring the left knee down as well, walking the knees forwards. Well done. Place the hands shoulder width apart on the mat, tuck the toes, lift up the hips and have a little stretch out of the legs. Taking one final stretch now, which is pigeon pose. So once you've had a little stretch in downward dog, come back down to the knees. Walk your hands up to the top of your mat. Bring your right knee to the bottom of your right wrist and shuffle your right foot across your mat so that it comes in front of your left knee. Shuffle your left knee a little further back until you really feel the stretch into the hips and possibly down into this right glute. And then see how it feels to drop onto the forearms here. And steady your breath. If it feels easy today to do this, you could drop down a little lower and rest your head onto your hands. Two more breaths here. And then lift up onto the palms. Lift that back knee and slide it in closer to you so you can then release the right leg. Might feel nice to just straighten it out for a moment. And then drop the knee, we'll take it to the other side, so hands up towards the top of the mat. Left knee comes to the bottom of the left wrist. Left foot shuffles across the mat so it goes in front of the right knee. Then we're trying to keep the hips level as we shuffle the back knee further back, dropping the hips down towards the ground. And then once you've gone as deep as you're ready to go, try dropping onto the forearms. Again, this might feel really different, left side compared to right. It definitely does for me today. This one feels a lot tougher. So again, we use the breath. The breath is a really powerful tool in helping the muscles to release. Last breath now. And then slowly lifting, bring the hands to the mat to support you and ease out of pigeon pose. Have a little stretch out and then come round to sit. Well done. All done. I hope you're feeling good. Come back to this video anytime you need it, save it. If you found it helpful, give it a like, leave me a comment, and I'll see you in another video soon. Thank you.